Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be trying something very new out on the channel. We're going to be using some video editing software to try to play around with the videos for the first time ever on this channel. So I hope you guys all thoroughly enjoy it. I will get better at it as time goes on, but this is the first time I've done it in a long time. I do apologize about that, but I did a video on it just to make sure you guys were okay with it. You guys seem to be excited, so let's get into it today, guys. We'll be doing my top 10 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters from the original Yu-Gi-Oh show. I know this is not Yu-Gi-Oh card related, but this is the year, competitive season is over. So let's talk about the anime, the thing that started it all, and my top 10 favorite characters. So at number 10, we have Yuzu. Now you may ask yourself, who the heck is Yuzu? Who is this? Who is this girl? Yuzu. Well, Yuzu is the main female protagonist in Arc V, Arc 5. And she's really good at dueling for the most part. She does lose a couple here and now. They haven't focused that much on her after episode 100, but she has many different forms of herself, I guess you say, from many different dimensions. You have Serena, you have the other ones. Yeah, there's like 5 of them. I've lost track of them all, but I all consider them one person because they kind of are like all just different versions of Yuzu that are from different dimensions. But now I'm getting too much into Arc 5 and Arc V, but overall I like her personality. She's a well-rounded character. She's probably one of the best duelists they've actually had in the Yu-Gi-Oh show, like female duelist, that is. I mean, Mai is probably one of the best. Akiza is probably one of the best. Yuzu is in there, and you may also want to include Rio Castle, who is Shark's younger sister, because she was pretty good in her own right, but we didn't get to see her duel a lot, and they really didn't develop her story. They showed her backstory, but that's about all. They really didn't develop her as a character. And Yuzu, they've done that a lot more. They've revamped her. She's just a good player and a good Yu-Gi-Oh character. I like her. She's really good. My number 9, guys, is Yuya! Sakaje Yuya! Yes, that's what I love when he says that. I think that's Yuzu's father that always says that. He's like, Sakaje Yuya! It's just so hilarious when he actually says that on the subbed version. I really like him. Yuya is... at first, I didn't like the kid. I thought he was just going to be another, Zexal type of character, a kid character, just not good. But as if you've watched Arc V, if you've watched Arc 5, and you've seen the development of this kid, he is grown up. And you may say, well, he's been forced to grow up because of his circumstances, but nonetheless, you have to agree, this kid's grown up. He's growing as a character, as a person, and as a player. He's one of the few Yu-Gi-Oh characters that I can recall, if the only one, that is literally used a whole bunch of different summoning mechanics. Pendulum, Synchro, Fusion, Exceed, Ritual. I mean, this guy's used everything that's available to us in the real life because he's going to all these different dimensions and whatnot. But at the same time, he's a good player. He does have his moments where he's kind of like, he's still a kid, showtime, stuff like that. And people hate him because he does play Performa Pals, and people hate playing against Performa Pals and plush, stuff like that nature. But still, he's a good character. He's a good duelist. He's well-rounded. And if you watch Arc V, you'll see the development of this guy. And he's just overall, and he's got like a Berserk mode. Just Arc V, Arc 5, I think is very underrated as an anime. It is probably my favorite anime since 5Ds, and maybe even beats 5Ds as being my second favorite next to the original show. But still, it's pretty good. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I would say watch the Japanese version if you don't mind reading subtitles. It's 10 times better than the one they have right now in the English. Next up, we have Merrick Ishtar, excuse me. I love Merrick mainly for Yu-Gi-Oh! Woodbridge by Little Karibo. If you've ever seen Merrick's Evil Council on Little Karibo's channel, it made me laugh as a kid all the time. When I was like 5 years ago, my friend showed me that, I laughed my butt off. With all the evil villains, and Merrick's like the head evil villain, and he's like, how will we destroy Yugi Mutou? But that's where I really started falling in love with Merrick. But I loved him as a character before because really I mean, he was just a guy, a kid, or a guy. I guess he was a young adult. I guess you could say late teenager who, you know, all he wanted was to live in the real world, just be a normal person, as best as normal can be, and you know, what is normal. But at the same time, that drove him to have a different personality, thanks to the Millennium Rod. And it's that personality that just scares the bejeebus out of me. I mean, as a kid, seeing Merrick's evil side, as they call it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, they call it Melvin, which is so funny. And even like Bakura's evil spirit is afraid of Melvin, which is hilarious. But besides the point, I love Bakura as Thief Bakura. But Melvin is, or Merrick's evil half, is just a psychopath. I mean, look at some of the faces that damn thing made with the tongue. It's like, it looks like Hannibal Lecter. And the thing was, I think he's one of the worst evil villains in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Now, granted, there's been characters that want to blow up the world, take over the world, kill people, whatever. This guy did the worst thing I think you can do as an evil villain, and that's play with your mind. You're not physically, you know, trying to do something. You're in their mind, and you're trying to F them over, excuse my French, which is just ridiculous. And yeah, I definitely have to say, like, he's my favorite evil character in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Next up, we have Joey freaking Wheeler. Brooklyn freaking Rage, Red Eyes for the win. Yes, now Joey Wheeler, I want to put him higher on this list, and I've loved Joey. I've always been a Joey fan, but if you've ever watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, and they actually have made a subbed version on YouTube. There's a channel that's actually doing that, and you should go check that out. But literally what the thing with Joey is, he's evolved so much. If there's any one Yu-Gi-Oh! Character, I can honestly say from that first episode to the last episode has evolved the most and matured the most from the first episode to the last, it is Joey. Joey's by far evolved so much. From a guy that couldn't play Duel Monsters with a hootenanny and heck, you know, to a guy that actually could play competitively on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, that is, and matured as a friend, as a person, as just in general a good guy. And if you look back even to Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, to how much of a freaking bully he was to Yugi, and you see that, and you tack that on, you know, and you see the evolution from that to the final episode between Yugi and a Tim, it's a transformation. It's a completely two different people. And I love him for that, because he's a very energetic character. And you have to admit, the Brooklyn Rage. The Brooklyn freaking Rage, man. I mean, it's just so awesome. And he's just one of my favorite characters. His design, he's just simplistic. He's a good guy, and he's a likable guy, which makes Joey one of my favorite characters. Next, we have Zane Truesdale. Now, Zane is a very interesting character. I have to admit, he is one of those characters that he's kind of based the same. He's in the same boat as a couple of other Yu-Gi-Oh! Antagonists, I guess you could say, somewhat, or like, you know, I forget what it's called, protagonist or antagonist. They're kind of like antagonist to the protagonist, but he's like, he's the only one that can defeat, you know, excuse me. Okay, Jaden, excuse me. I had something in my throat there. He's the only one that really can defeat Jaden. At first he defeats Jaden outright in the first duel they ever met. When the finale comes for the second season, I think it was, they end in a tie, and then after that it's downhill for the guy. But as in those two first seasons, I literally liked him as a player, just because I love Cyber Dragons, and also because he was kind of like a Seto Kaiba character. He raised his brother up from what he could. He cared about his brother. It was tough love, but he cared about, you know, Cyrus. And Cyrus grew up, you know, as the show progressed, if you watch the final season. And the sad thing was, you felt bad for Zane, because when he first originally died, you know, he's battling Yubel. I think it was Jesse as Yubel, or Yubel as Jesse, one or the other, I forget. You see that he's like, he knows his heart's going to give out, and he's going to die. And he's like, just give me one last good duel. I want to die, you know, I want to fight to the death. I want a good fight before I die. And that speaks volumes about his character as a person. You know, even though he had become evil and all that, and he did all these horrible things, it spoke volumes about him. And that episode made me fall in love with him. Next up, guys, we have Kite Kite. Kite Tenjo, I think is his last name, Tenjo. Kite is by far one of my favorite characters from Zexal, if not my main favorite, if only favorite. I do like Rio Castle, and she was going to make it on the list, but I chose Yuzu instead of Rio because of multiple different regions, like I stated earlier. Kite, on the other hand, he is like Seto Kaiba 2.0, with a little bit more of a softer heart or a caring personality. He's got that tough demeanor. I mean, I fell in love with Kite the first time I saw him face Yuya. And if you don't remember the scene, he's literally like, he stops the rain. It's raining outside, and Astro's like, there is something coming. There is somebody coming, Yuya. And you just hear this whistling, and it's like, you just see him like walking in like a cowboy, and it's like, oh my gosh. It was like that high noon type of scene, like guns blazing. And after that, I was like, this guy means business. And I loved him in his character development because the fact that he loves dragons, I love dragons, Seto loved dragons, come on. Photon Galaxy Eyes Dragon is a very underrated level 8 dragon. As a card, it's just a pretty dang good card. It's lost some power over the years, but it's still a very good card in general. And secondly, the fact of the matter is that he's just a badass, and he's a caring guy. He just doesn't show it, and he actually cares about Yuya. You know, not Yuya. I keep saying Yuya. Why do I keep saying Yuya? Oh my gosh. But no, the guy we do not speak of from Zexal who plays Utopia. I forget his name off the top of my head. But yes, Kite is just a very good well-rounded character. He's Seto Kaiba 2.0. He cares about his brother. He's a development as a character. He's a dragon master. I love the guy. What can I say? Next up, guys, we have Yusei Fudo. Yes, Yusei Fudo with his motorbike, because going fast makes me feel alive. Oh gosh, I'm going to sing the theme song, and you guys are going to all unsubscribe from me, so I won't even sing it. You don't want to hear my singing. So you would think that he would be higher on my list, and I would agree with you some days, but personally, I've liked him as a character, as a development. I mean, 5Ds was a mature anime to some extent. I mean, I went back and watched it a couple months ago, you know, and I hadn't watched it since I was like originally watched the shows on like Kids WB and the Fox Box like bygone eras ago. And I watched it, I was like, oh, you know, everybody says 5Ds is such a great anime. And I thought, well, maybe it's just hype. Maybe it's just people saying it is because of nostalgia reasons, like some episodes of Pokemon. But I watched it and I was like, you know what? I got through season 1, got through season 2, got to season 3, and I'm like, this is actually a good anime. I was like, it wasn't just nostalgia in my head. It was a good anime, and Yusei is just a great character. His voice actor is amazing. The way he acts, the way he interacts with people, the way he is the show. And I can't describe it, but he's just such a well-rounded character. He has a great backstory. He's got pretty much. Yusei is in this situation where he's in a great anime. He's a great character in a great anime, in a great show, in a great, you know, thing. He's perfect for that. And the fact that he rides a freaking red motorbike. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! On motorcycles? Just a well-rounded character, a great player, a great duelist in his own right, in a great show with a great cast of a whole bunch of other characters which are just equally as likable. I think Crow, I mean, Black Rings are one of the favorite archetypes of Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Everybody loves Crow. I mean, Akiza. So, I mean, you get this. You understand what I'm trying to say. Next up, we have Atim, the Pharaoh himself, Atim, who fought against Zork, the Dark One. Yes, now, you may call him, you know, Yami, you may call him other Yugi, there's a whole bunch of different things, but his real name technically is Atim, the Pharaoh. I've loved Atim. Now, you think, how many duels did Yugi duel? He dueled against Pegasus, he dueled a couple people, but it was always Atim taking over the reins until literally the final episode when Yugi finally defeated Atim to send him away to, you know, the afterlife so he could rest in peace. And yes, I love Yugi for that, and I look forward to seeing Dark Side Dimensions and see his evolution as a player, as a person. But Atim is where it's at. I love ancient history. I love ancient Egypt. One of the reasons why I love Merrick. And Atim is just kind of the apex of all that. He's a freaking pharaoh. And one of my favorite arcs in Yu-Gi-Oh! History will still be, for all time probably, definitely the arc, the Pharaoh's Memories. Because I love ancient Egypt, and seeing my favorite card game in a freaking ancient Egypt, all the love, man, all the love, all the love. And I just love Tim for that reason. As a player, as a duelist, he was great. Yes, he broke the rules. Yes, he screwed the rules more than Seto Kaiba ever probably was. And he even had a little bit of a dark side. If you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, Tim's a freaking psychopath. You know, you want to play a game? Let's burn you alive. let's play a gun Russian roulette. You know, psychopath. But as time goes on, he's a more well-rounded character. He's a great character. He's a great person. Great voice actor Dan Green was for him. Is a Tim's deep voice. So yes, I love a Tim. Number 2 on my list, guys. Number 2 is my bae, Akiza. It has to be Akiza. Now, I was thinking of putting Seto Kaiba number 2. As you guys probably know, it's probably going to be Seto Kaiba number 1. I just told you. But Akiza was this close. I was literally about to put that because there are days where I'm like, I love Akiza more than I love Seto Kaiba. Just saying. I mean, my buddies gave me this. An Akiza, Black Rose Akiza playmat. One of my buddies gave me this because they know how much I love Akiza. And Akiza is life and Akiza is bae. Now, I love Akiza. But it's not just because of her looks I like her. As a player, as a developing character on the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D show, it's really nice. I mean, this is a kid that's been rejected. She's literally a loner at the beginning of the show. A beautiful girl that is a loner because of her, you know, psychic abilities. And you see her development and she becomes more mature. Now, granted, I don't know the exact age she is in the original, you know, when they first showed her. I think she was, according to sources I remember reading one time, she's like 15, 16, 17, like mid-teens, late teens, you know, somewhere around in there. And by the end of the show, I know she's like 22, 23 when they show the final time skip. But she's just such a well-developed character. She's beautiful, first off. She's a great duelist. I think, personally, her duel, when she first dueled Yusei, that was one of my favorite duels of all time. She just, like, when her powers went crazy. And you see the development of her as a character. You see that she actually cares. She's one of the few characters that really, I mean, we saw Taya, we've seen the other characters, but she was the one that actually was this close to kissing freaking Yusei, if you watch the final episode that were never aired in the English version. She's literally loves Yusei, but she never shows it. She wants to, she's afraid to, but she cares about the friendship more. It's like real life. And that was the entire thing of 5Ds. As a teenager watching 5Ds, I could relate to some of these things growing up, because I was going through those same things myself. And that's what 5Ds, what made 5Ds really great when I first watched it. But Akiza, just as a player, like, she learned how to use a dual runner. She was a master. She had one of the arguably, you know, best original synchro monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time. It was limited to one, and that's Black Rose freaking Dragon. I mean, that card was limited to one, if you didn't know, for a quick second there, because it was that broken. Nuking the field was that broken back in the day. But you think about it, she's a girl, just like you say, has a great card, great duelist. Doesn't hurt that she's easy on the eyes and very beautiful. She develops as a character very strongly. You see her be this loner to a person that has a lot of friends, who develops relationships and cares about people, and just overall a great, well-rounded person. And I really do like Akiza, and I will continue to love Akiza. My number 1, guys, if you didn't know by now, and you should know, it's Seto freaking Kaiba. Now, I've been asked this question before, and I've talked about this question in the past before. But why do I love Seto Kaiba so much? Mainly for the fact, the reason is, and I'll make it quick here, is the fact of the matter is, I love Seto Kaiba because I love Blue Eyes. I love Seto Kaiba because I can relate to him as a person, because I've, you know, lost my family members. I've had to raise my brother from a young age for the most part. I've had to take care of my young kid brother, you know, until we grew up and graduated from high school this past year. I had to do all these things. Seto had to go through those same things with Mokuba. I relate to him. He loves Blue Eyes. I love Blue Eyes. He loves dragons. I love dragons. If I could ride a Blue Eyes jet, I would ride a Blue Eyes jet. So there's many different reasons why I love Seto. And I've stated them many times before. And he's a badass character who has a great arc. He's a freaking power-hungry maniac, but I love him for it. And I love Priest Seto just as much because I love the story between him and a Tim back in the day, which is really cool. But tell me down below, guys, who are your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show? And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.